Hey everyone, welcome to a tour of the new Singularity Computers Workshop. I mentioned in a video about 6 months ago that I was going to be expanding Singularity Computers. Now, just a brief history of Singularity Computers. For those of you who don't already know, I started Singularity Computers as a custom system building and computer repair business nearly 10 years ago. But I've been building custom systems for a lot longer than that. So it's only more recently, 4 years ago, that I started the channel. And I actually started the channel because I have a chronic illness and I'd been given some very bad news about my health. I was forced to slow down. At that point, I had to give away almost all of my computer repair clients and almost completely stop what I was doing. So I started the channel to share information, most importantly, but to share my passion for computers and really just to have some fun with it. It wasn't long though before I started to get some demand to build custom systems again. This time not just within Australia, which is where I'm based, but internationally. And it took off very quickly because I started doing build logs, which was great content for the channel. Everybody loved it. And, that's what my channel has become all about now. The thing was, I reached a point where I was building so many custom systems, the demand was so high, I didn't have enough time for making videos anymore. And there was very limited options that I had. I couldn't go back to what I'd been doing previously, less systems, more videos, because I needed a way of sustaining the channel. And people wanted to see more, not less. I also didn't want to go down the path of working with companies, sponsorship, donations, and all of that. I'd always had the dream of building my own cases and components and having the freedom to build absolutely everything. That's really what this channel was working towards from the beginning. It's something that I'd had in the back of my mind, that I'd been preparing for. The only thing holding me back was finding the right people. And initially I found Anthony. Now I will tell the story at some point because it was just a complete fluke, but he is the most skilled person I've ever met by far, and I'm willing to say that he's the most skilled person in this area, or one of the most skilled in the world. Because his background is actually custom cars. He's been in the car industry for nearly 30 years. And there is absolutely nothing he cannot build because he has multiple engineering degrees and he's a race car engineer. So, absolutely incredible. And not only that, he was also looking for something new to advance at that point in his life. And it turns out that this was, basically exactly what he wanted to do. So I'd found the exact skill set that I needed to be able to expand, and somebody who was willing to become fully involved and work towards the goals that I had. Because you have to understand, if you're going to build a company from the ground up, grassroots, all of your time is going to be gone for the next few years. Potentially a lifetime, some people put into it. Not only that, there's many other sacrifices that you make. It takes complete will, determination, commitment. You have to give up everything else in your life. There's many sacrifices that you have to make to succeed at something like this. And these days, from my experience, everyone's just into instant gratification. They're not willing to work hard on something that is not going to work out straight away, may never work out, and still have the hope and dream about the future. But together we started looking for a spot for a new workshop, because up until Client Build 16 I'd been doing everything on my own, working out of a tiny workshop with limited hand tools. And we found the perfect spot after a month or so and a few challenges. This workshop is over 250 square meters. It has twice that next door ready for us to move into as we expand. It has 3-phase power, everything we need. So the next step obviously was to start setting it up, because this was not any kind of an existing workshop. We started with an empty room. Everything you see here has been set up by us. We built almost all of the workbenches, the spray booth and cold room, and a lot of the machines and tools, you can't just find them, set them up and start using them. There's a lot of setup involved. Finding the correct tooling for the work you're going to be doing, and there was a number of problems that we had to work through. But after a few months, the workshop was set up and running. But the thing was, 2 people was still not nearly enough for what we had in mind. So all this time, we'd also been looking for members for the Singularity Computers team. And luckily, Anthony had a lot of connections, and I'd been looking for a long time. So the Singularity Computers team now has 7 members. And it's the team that I'm the most proud of. Out of everything I'm showing you here, I'm most proud of the team, because collectively, the skills that they all have would take me 20 lifetimes to learn. I have an incredibly talented team. And, if you can find people that can do something better than you, well, that is the way to go. And it's just so exciting to have a fully functioning workshop now and a team where I can walk in and say, we need to build this, and they just get to work and it happens. It's just amazing to see, and it's amazing to be in the workshop. So I have a dream team, and I also consider all of you part of the team. When I first started my channel, as I said, it was at a bad time for me. I'd been given bad news about my health, and all of my friends and family said, don't start a YouTube channel. The trolls are just going to get you down. They were just looking out for me. They knew they thought I was a bit delicate at that time, but I found it to be the exact opposite. The support, the fun that I had with everyone has just been incredible. And without all of you, none of this would be possible. It's thanks to all of you. You have made this possible. It's your passion for computers, for all of this. We all share this passion, and that's what has made this possible. And it's at its infancy right now, after all of this effort has gone into it and resources, that it is at its most delicate. And so it's only with your continued support and interest in all of this that it's going to continue to expand and survive and become something even more epic in the future. But just wait until you see how much all of this is going to change the channel. It is seriously going to be incredible. I mean, this is what I've been dreaming about doing pretty much since I was a kid. So it's very exciting. What you're looking at here now is the lathe and mill in action. In this video, I just wanted to briefly introduce you to and show you a couple of the new capabilities out of the many that we now have. So one of them is Billet Components. And that's what you're looking at here. We're actually building a billet front panel for an upcoming build. But it means we can build water blocks. We can build anything really. Reservoirs, res mounts, heat sinks, the list goes on, from all different metals, copper, brass, alloys, steel, even titanium, and also plastics, acrylic, acetal. So this is an incredible step up, and it gives us a massive amount of freedom. There is another big step above this though. I know those of you who are experienced are going to be thinking, well, where is the CNC machine? Well, there is a few tools we're still waiting on. One of them is our water jet cutter, which is similar to a plasma cutter. And that's going to make a massive difference. But the next big step for us is a CNC machine. And we're actually planning on going for a 5-axis CNC machine. And what this is going to mean is that, if we build a water block on our lathe and mill, it takes us about 10, maybe even 15 hours to get it right. But that's also because every time we build something, because it's all custom, it changes. If it was production line, it would be a bit less, but it's still a massive amount of time and effort goes into it. With a CNC machine, it would take minutes. And once we are able to do that, again, it will change everything and take things to a whole new level. But this is an example of what we can now build. This is just one of the many components that we've built so far, and one of the many designs that we have coming up. This is actually for an upcoming build, and it's a 60mm single reservoir mount So it fits bits power, EK, and alpha cool. And it has an extra mount on the side, which we're going to use for mounting a couple of SSDs, but you can use it for mounting anything. It also mounts directly to a 120, 240, 360 or 480mm radiator. So there is no need for any extra mounts, no UN mounts. This res mount mounts directly to a radiator. And this is actually polished alloy, so it's bare metal and it's been polished. Another new capability we now have is our plating and anodizing setup. We can do all the different types of plating, electro and electroless, and we can also do anodizing in all different colors. And you can see the work that's gone into our setup, the power supply, the bus bars. The bus bars look dangerous, but very low voltage and low current. It's not actually dangerous. Now, since this video, we've actually changed this setup a fair bit, because everything in this workshop we spent a long time tweaking and perfecting before we actually started using it. So this was back when we were still perfecting the setup. Since then, we've changed the containers, a bit of the wiring, the filter, a few other things, because we also have to have filtered water, deionized water, to be able to do all of this. It's highly sensitive. The heaters have to be spot on. The temperature has to be right. The pH. There's a lot of things you need to look for to be able to do perfect plating and anodizing. Now, we are actually the only people in our state who do plating and anodizing. And that means we're the only company within about 3,000 kilometers who have this capability. So it means that we're starting to do a fair bit of local work already, but for custom builds, I mean, we can now 24 karat gold plate water blocks, fittings, just about anything. And, gold, copper, silver, nickel, different colored nickel, chrome, the list goes on, and anodizing in all different colors, different finishes and textures. We can even mix colors. What you're looking at here is the first example set that we did. So this was actually the first test run, and since then we've massively improved our setup, but you can see the result. You can see these pieces here have been done in nickel plating and also gold plating. Part of it is 24 karat gold plated, and you also saw some MMPC Tech case handles there, which we have anodized in blue. I'll put a link in the video description to where you can actually pick these up from. But these are just the very first of many components to come that we're going to be plating and anodizing. And it's an incredible capability to have. For those of you who don't know, you'll see a lot of plating on water cooling components. So anything that's in the fluid path, fittings, water blocks, because it's safe to go into the fluid path. And then anodizing, it's a lot tougher than paint. So it's great for, you'll see it a lot on heat sinks, like you can see here. But we can do anything in plating and anodizing, from the small components you see here to an entire case. So that's just a brief look at a couple of our new capabilities. I'm leaving the rest for the upcoming build logs. What you're looking at here is my office, because I've put Anthony in charge of the workshop. That's what he's best at. And I go there, a fair bit to do some modding, but most of my time now is spent directing and running Singularity Computers as a whole. I also still do, the videos, although not so much of the filming anymore. And I do the final fit up of the systems also. So I always do the final build. It's amazing how far it's come, because not so long ago, really only a few months ago, this was a dream. And you have to understand that when you're setting something like this up, it feels like it's going to be impossible. And that's why so many people never succeed It's only you that's stopping you. You can do absolutely anything. You are free to do whatever you want to do. And all of you are capable of doing this. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It certainly hasn't been for me. And, you know, it's certainly not something that's finished either. I have many goals for the future, but I'm just so glad that I can now bring you more videos, more exciting videos, and I'm looking forward to the incredible builds that are to come. What we're focusing on right now is going back and completing the backlog of systems that we currently have. Obviously, most of the time recently has gone into setting up the workshop, training the new team. But what it means for all of those builds, they've taken a bit longer, but the quality, the capabilities are going to be far beyond what they were before. And also, production time is going to be far less. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I have something else very exciting that I'm going to be announcing within the next few days. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and favorite if you want to see more.